Kerry's really good. He's big, strong down there. The other big guy, Delorier, hurt us too. We gave up 40 points down there. That's a problem we've had all year. But I thought we fought hard. We missed threes early. We need to make some. I thought we had some pretty good looks, but, we've got to make some of those to compete. Duke's very good. They're really good. Got a great point guard. They got tremendous group of players, and the big kid is really good. He's got great hands. He's really tough down there.
Rex had a career high tonight. What did you see from him?
He's playing great. He stays out of foul trouble. He's doing a lot of things. He's passing. He's driving. He's a really good player. For us to win, Elijah has got to shoot better, from the three. And he's had a good night, but he's got to make some of those. Buddy's got to make a couple more. Joe's got to make a couple more, basically. But we got to score a lot of points. Duke's going to score points against us. We can't stop them. So we're going to have to score a lot of points to beat them.
You guys have seen a lot of pretty good big guys this year. How would you rank Burden Carey compared to the guys?
He's real good. Everybody's good against us. We've made a lot of big guys into All-Americans this year.
You guys played some pretty good big guys.
Yeah, they've all averaged about 24 points and 10 rebounds against us. So it's hard to pick one out from the other because they've all done the same thing. And some of them aren't very good. Since they played us, they haven't done anything.
Coming into the game, Mark led the team in free throws. He led the team in fouls drawn tonight. What do you think gives him that ability to just draw contact?
He gets to the lane, and he's got good moves around there, and he's difficult to guard. He's very difficult to guard. He's a very good player. He's a very good player. Fans were great tonight. I mean, they've been great all year. We haven't played as well as we'd like to here, but I think we're getting a little bit better, and that's a good thing. All right, we'll see you next week.
Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
What's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. And today, James, if you like it, please share it. The universal handle for the socials is @Cuse Militia. Go there, join the militia. We are the only Syracuse sports podcast centered around giving you, the fans, a voice. So welcome. Happy Monday. We're a day late. We did so we could bring on the Syracuse Orange Basketball beat writer for News Magician, a.k.a. 315 legend, a.k.a. Cuse Militia Podcast Facebook top fan, James Szuba. James, what's up, buddy?
One, I can finally get introduced as Facebook top fan. That's what I'm talking about. Two, the real me could never live up to the legend. If you knew how lame I was, I could not be referred to as a legend. So there's that.
I don't know. The ubiquitous James Szuba all over the place. He was at the Duke game. We want to get his thoughts. He got to see the crowd. He got to see the student section, which was actually lit, as the young kids say. For this game. So, we'll get into it. Syracuse drops their second ACC game in a row at the Dome against Duke. As the Blue Devils, they just shoot way above their averages from the line and from the field. Syracuse falls to 13-9, 6-5 in the ACC. And the Wake preview, well, that can wait. That can wait. We will get into all of that here shortly. We'll give you our thoughts. But first, as always, James, are you a betting man?
Depends.
It depends. Well, if you were and you did it online, I would recommend you go to MyBookie. Attention, past, present, and future MyBookie players. It doesn't matter whether you're an experienced bettor like Joe or an inexperienced bettor like me. MyBookie welcomes all that come to play. If you got questions, no worries. You find yourself wanting to know what it's all about, MyBookie's patient customer service team is there to walk you through it. They can answer any of your questions you got. And the best part is, if you join right now, MyBookie's still running the dollar for dollar deal. Go to mybookie.ag and make your deposit using the promo code CHAIR, CHAIR, and MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar up to $1,000 to jumpstart the bankroll. So what are you waiting for? Go to mybookie.ag. Make your deposit using the promo code CHAIR. MyBookie will match you up to $1,000 dollar for dollar. So thank you, MyBookie. You play, you win, you get paid. Okay, so I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go right into the good, the bad, and the ugly for me, and then I'm going to give it to James.
Stop calling me names, man. I'm sick of it already.
No. Hey, I love how you say I'm an experienced better every time on that read, by the way, and I don't even bet.
Well, I don't know.
Fantasy football, okay? But I don't do sports book.
Okay, well, you have. You've done it more than I have, put it that way.
Okay.
DraftKings, yeah.
Maybe in the past.
So, anyway, the good, the bad, the ugly. +9 on turnovers for Syracuse. Syracuse turned those Duke turnovers into 22 points. That's great. Marvelous Mark Dolezaj. He was just that. He finished with a career high 22 points, 8 for 14 from the field, 6 for 7 from the line, and 6 rebounds. The crowd was awesome, as I mentioned. 31,458 fans showed up. The Orange actually totaled 38 points in the paint, which I said there's no way they're going to get 36 again. As they did 2 games in a row before that, and they get 38. So, whatever. I was egg on my face for that. The bad, Duke scored 44 points in the paint. And, the Orange struggled with Vernon Carey, as we kind of expected. He had his way on the inside, 26 points and 17 rebounds. Coach talked about Guerrier's inability to stay out of foul trouble, and we get that. But the dude, Guerrier was getting mauled down there pretty bad. I'd like to see what y'all think about that. I think he was. But, he's foul prone. It is what it is. And I know it's going to take some time for him to progress, but honestly thought it would be coming a little bit faster than it is. So the ugly, Syracuse was able to put up 16 more shots than Duke, 9 of those from behind the arc. Duke has allowed the fewest successful 3-point shots in the ACC, and that trend continued against Syracuse. They were 6 for 26, 23.1% from behind the arc, and you'd think 80 points could win you a game, but the percentage was lacking just a little bit. They got to make shots, as James reiterated on Twitter after the game. In their last 3 games, Cuse is 20 of 75 from 3, 26.6%. So before that 3-game stretch, Syracuse was shooting as a team 36.1. They're down to 34.7 right now. Still pretty good, but the past 3 games have been a struggle. James, you were there. What'd you think? Tell us what you think. Let us know how you feel.
I was there. The crowd was great. They've been great all year, except for when they got called out in the non-conference. That was only I was there. Had a lot of fun. Really cool environment. I was kind of hyping up the student section, doing the swag surfing thing. That's the first time I've seen them do anything like that. I thought it was really cool. I don't know. Maybe I'm lame and just getting old and it's not cool, but I thought it was cool. The striped dome looked better than I thought it was. I was kind of skeptical going in. The blue section didn't really turn out so great. There were a few speckles in the others, but I thought it came out okay. And pretty loud environment, 31,000, a little bit over that, and it was a great environment for a game. I thought the first half was great, really back and forth. Duke took a little bit of a lead going into the half, and then the second half it really just kind of got away from Syracuse. They made a push late, but too many whistles, I think, to really build some momentum and get over the hump. And every time Syracuse made a push, Duke just made a play. And I think at the end of the day, Duke's just a better team, and on that night it just showed.
Yeah, to the point of the stripe and the dome thing, great idea. I think it's time to just do orange outs.
Just orange out, yeah. It would have been better.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's just beautiful from a distance, too. So, Joe.
Yeah, I agree a lot with the points that James brought up. But basically, my biggest thing is you look at the percentage that they shot from the floor. You can't play Duke and allow them to shoot 57.5%. And then the fact that they were coming in as a team shooting 67% from the free throw line, and they shoot 88%. I mean, I know personally they were showing Vernon Carey every time he went up in the line, 59% free throw shooter. Okay. He had 8 for 10.
Yeah.
So
figures, right?
We knew that he was going to have a good game, and I thought that we played really, really well as far as forcing turnovers, and I thought Gerard really played well. I don't think he got stripped by Trey Jones, which I definitely thought was coming. So I think Buddy could have, played a little better. I think that we could have made some shots, but overall, you're not going to beat Duke when they're shooting those percentages. I mean, if they shoot their normal free throw percentage, like average, then that's 6 or 7 less points. It's a different game, but the percentages were just too much to beat a team like that.
Just so many shots went up in that game. So many. 124, something like that. altogether. I mean, that's a ton. So a lot of opportunities. Syracuse had the opportunities to keep that game a little bit tighter, and it wasn't bad. I mean, it could have got ugly. It could have got ugly in the middle of the second half there, and it didn't. But when they went into the locker room down by 4 and they led all 17 minutes of the first half, I was like, oh my gosh, hopefully maybe there's a chance they can come out of the locker room and play strong. But once they got down really quick in the second half, and I was like, well, it's going to be a struggle because Duke was just feeling it. They struggled at first. They were having trouble with the ball on offense. They turned the ball over a ton, especially in the beginning. And then once they got their legs, man, they just worked it, and they were feeling it. So, I mean, like Joe said, 57.4% from the field. We each only hit 6 threes.
Yeah.
So.
And they play such aggressive defense. Go ahead, James.
No, I was just going to say, it's funny. Syracuse played so well out of the gate. And for most of the first half, they played so well. And, in the last 4 minutes or so, Duke really made a run and then took a 4-point lead into the half. So that really takes the wind out of the sails a little bit. When you play at a high level and then the other team comes in and they're still able to take a lead into the half. I thought Buddy had a good look in the corner 3 with about 2 seconds left out of the out-of-bounds play.
Yeah.
They clanked off the iron, and that could have really shifted momentum. And instead, you go into the half. You played really well. You're down 4, and then Duke comes out, and of course they continue the run. I thought that was a big key.
Yeah, and it's just we've seen Syracuse in their wins. The 5-game stretch that they had there, they were blowing leads. They were down by a lot in some of those games, but they persevered. They came back. And you're playing this 6th-ranked team in the nation, and a guy like Vernon Carey. I mean, he's just a whole nother animal than what we've seen so far this year. So.
And like what I was talking about with their defense, I mean, they have a good defensive team, and they just keep subbing out, and they just have almost like 9-10 guys that just go through, and they play tough, aggressive defense. They don't care about fouling because then the next guy comes in, and to what Boeheim talked about in his presser. He said something about we played like 7 games in like 20 days, and we really only go 6 deep. So you have to imagine that in those type of games, there's going to be some lulls. There's potential for lulls when you only play 6 guys and you have a team like Duke just throwing guys at you, just waves of,
I know, and they're just able to do that. How many guys did they play? Really, 9.
Yeah.
So. They all had significant minutes, really. Delorier with 12 minutes was the least. So
shout out to Jevin Delorier, man. 12 minutes and 5 fouls. That's
I know. Just put Sidibe to shame.
Yeah, and I'm really starting to hate Alex O'Connell.
Oh man.
Yeah,
he bothers me because he hasn't really done anything, and then he comes in against the 2-3 zone almost every time they play us, and he hits big shots. It's just
every time in the dome. It was the past 2 games in the dome, right?
Mm-hmm. He had a big second half last year as well. That was a big key to them winning that game. Was him coming in and shooting hot. Yeah, Syracuse really could have exploited that mismatch a little bit more too. I thought, the perimeter defenders that they have, like Trey Jones, you get more back for this game. He's another guy that's capable of defending out there. And they're switching things, and they're switching ball screens and things like that. But I thought when Alex O'Connell's in the game, you got to attack him. I don't care who's on. I don't care if he's on Joe Girard, Elijah, Buddy, whoever he's on. You have a mismatch right there. You got to take him. I thought Syracuse could have done a little bit better job there attacking him.
Yeah, all in all, I guess just a missed opportunity, and I don't know. It's frustrating more so on a personal level for me. Losing that game really sucked. But it did. It sucks really bad. I'm not gonna lie. It is like one of the worst losses. I get so upset. But at the end of the day, though, there's more opportunities. There's 9 games left, and plus a tournament. So we'll see. I mean, did we have a buy, sell, or hold one time where we talked about Syracuse making the tournament? Didn't we have one of those?
We probably did.
I thought we did. I was trying to look it up to see what we all said. I think I said sell. And I think
you guys both. Our pod.
Oh, maybe. Was it? Maybe.
It might have been on our pod. I think we might have done it on ours, yeah.
Anyway, it's interesting to go back and see what we said in the beginning because we talked about total points, too, total average points for the end of the season, too. So it'll be fun to see if that comes through. So, speaking of buy, sell, or hold, are we ready? Do we want to play?
Do we have enough questions?
Yeah. So I
No.
Hold the buy sell hold.
First of all,
Why can nobody figure this out, man?
I don't know.
This is not rocket science here.
I watched.
Sell the team. Syracuse sucks. That's not how it works.
I've tried to word this different. I think next time I'll have to give examples. I've tried wording it different. I've tried making it colorful. I've tried pointing out people who do a good job.
And since it hasn't worked with you, I tried today, and we had another fan that just didn't get it. So, I just don't understand.
Hold. You got to hold. Sean's got to let the dog in real quick.
Yeah, who let the dog in?
That's all right. I forgot I ordered food, so I'm gonna have to step away at some point too. I ordered food from downstairs.
Oh, okay.
How lazy do you have to be to put in an order and have food delivered from downstairs?
From literally downstairs. What are you on top of?
Well, I'm in an apartment. I live in New York, so I'm in an apartment building. So there's like a restaurant downstairs. So I put in a seamless order.
What kind of restaurant is it?
It's an Italian place. I just ordered a little bit of eggplant. So.
Do they got? Oh, nice. Yeah. Is that healthy or something?
Hopefully it'll be good. We'll see.
They got a bar down there?
You know what? Not in that particular place, but there's about 5 restaurants on my block, and like 4 of them do have a bar. So.
Oh well, 4 out of 5 ain't bad. It's shooting 80% there. It's pretty good. All right, here we go. So Chris on Facebook. He did a masterful job. He did. He really did. He had presented 2 of them, and I think I'm gonna go with the second one he brought on here. And he says, buy, sell, or hold. A week off will bring our 3-point shooting back from wherever it crawled into. James.
I buy that. I think, as mentioned, Syracuse has had a pretty rough stretch here in terms of number of games and number of days. And, as mentioned, really like the top 3 shooters, Joe, Buddy, and Elijah, they're all playing heavy minutes. So there's not really much of a chance for rest in there. I think, part of it, too, is that a lot of teams are starting to play Syracuse up on the perimeter and making them drive. And they're not helping off. So a lot of times you'll see like Elijah drive and they're not helping off Joe or Buddy. So I buy that.
Oh, Joe.
I'm going to go ahead and be a little boring here, but I'm going to have to buy it too. And for a lot of the reasons that James had brought up, but also the fact that I do believe that, like just this past game, I think that Mark probably should have got the ball a little bit more in the second half. I think there's no reason why he shouldn't have been able to get 30 in that game. But again, sometimes we get in these situations in the second half where we try to get some of the shooters hot and go away from him. But I just think that Mark definitely had some potential to get the ball a little bit more in the second half and get some more points and exploit the mismatches that he had. So I can see in the next week our coach is putting in some type of game plan to try to get Mark more involved in the offense because he's obviously shown that he can score more than what he has been doing. So that should be able to open up the 3-point shooting as well and getting the legs under him, having a week off,
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. Just to piggyback on what you were saying, you would think they would learn this already. It's been like 3 games in a row now where they've deferred from letting Mark get inside and resort to shooting from outside, and both the 2 losses definitely. So I don't know. Right. I don't know. Well, he was in foul trouble too. I don't know, but it's. I mean, I love how
the one game,
Coach did.
But there has been games where he's scored. He looked like he's going to put up close to 20, and then in the second half, we kind of resort to trying to get the other shooters hot instead of going away from what was working. I think that Mark is capable of possibly being our number 2, number 3 scorer.
And what do you think, James? You think having this newly found inside game that they've just been working and it's been so successful, it seems like it's not really limiting their shots too much, but is it just throwing them? I mean, is it throwing them off balance? What is it? It's hard to be 2-dimensional like that. It's a lot.
I think that the offense hasn't really been the problem. I mean, Syracuse scored a lot of points against Duke on Saturday, and the offense has been there all year, flirting around 20th in offensive efficiency in KenPom. I think what's changed over the past few weeks is that a lot of teams are now starting to figure out what Syracuse is all about. And that's,
right.
Making, people know Buddy Boeheim's a shooter. They're going to chase him off the line. They're going to be up in his shorts and make him put it on the deck. He's proven that he can do that, but teams are really taking his three-point shot away. And same with Joe Girard. A lot of the looks that he's getting are like from 25 feet plus, where a defender's not necessarily out there right in his shorts. So they're making him a driver as well. So kind of same deal with Elijah. I think Elijah's definitely more capable off the dribble. He can make those plays, but teams are really playing up on Syracuse. And when you do that, when you play those three perimeter guys tough and you don't help off, that opens it up for Marek. So he gets the ball in and around the high post and he can make plays. And he's really tough to guard in there, man. I mean, he's got the spin move down. Every time he gets it, it's a pass fake. He'll dribble, he'll put it down, it's an up fake, and then he's drawing contact or he's finishing, he's creating space, and he's getting that little floater off too. So, when teams are playing those guys tough and they're playing on the perimeter, that opens it up for a guy like Marek.
I think, okay, buy, sell, or hold. I didn't state the rules. You only get one
Buy.
hold.
Bye.
I know you could do that 100 times and it's still funny because I think the rules are, by the way, you can only use one hold per. It's 3 questions. You get one hold per segment. Okay, one segment's 3 questions. But look, I'm gonna use my hold, man. I don't know, because I felt like it's been flat. And like to James's point, people are defending it and they're doing a good job. So if everybody continues to do that, if he doesn't evolve or change his game up a little bit, something's got to give. And I just don't know. I don't know, but they've come out and surprised me plenty. I love being wrong, so I have no problems with that at all. No problems with that at all. So, okay, let's see. Daryl on Facebook. The only way this team makes it into the tournament would be beating both Florida State and Louisville on the road, along with winning 5 out of 7 of the other games. So that would be the only. Now let's put we always get into the muddy waters of the ACC tournament. We're not talking ACC. We're not talking ACC tournament. We're strictly talking going into the ACC tournament. Can they be a lock? Would that be a way to do it? Absolutely. Go, Joe. Go ahead. You're first. Do you remember the question?
Yes, I remember the question.
Okay.
And I'm going to sell because
Okay.
I don't think that you need to win both of those.
Okay.
I do think we have a favorable schedule for the rest of the way, minus those away games. So, yeah, I mean, I know North Carolina got Cole Anthony back. They got a big that could possibly give us some problems. So I'm a little nervous about them. But again, I think Boston College is a bad matchup with us. Pittsburgh, bad matchup. Miami's not that great. We got to win these next 2 at home. You win the games. I mean, obviously, you'd love to win those road games, but I'm going to sell because I still think that you can win enough and maybe just win one of those games, right? The question was winning both, right? So
Right.
you can win one of those games and win a lot of the next ones that you're supposed to, and still, I think, be right there where we usually have been and lived the last 3-4 years. So
Yeah. So you sold. You only need to win one of those 2.
I don't think you need to win both.
Okay. James.
Am I up?
Yep.
Sean, you ruined my whole set. I was gonna say sell because you could just win the ACC tournament and get the auto bid.
Yeah, right. We're not going that route again.
All right. Outside of the ACC tournament, I'm gonna sell. And to Joe's point, I don't think you need to win both of them. You probably need to win at least one of them. And there may be even, I don't know what the bubble's going to look like in a few weeks, and everybody knows it's a down year in college hoops, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. I think there might be an outside chance where you could still lose both of those games and win out all the others and still make it. It might be more of a long shot. But, if you look at it, I think NC State, you win that game at home, that's a quad 2 win. If you win on the road at Pittsburgh, that would be a quad 1 win. And then you can go on the road at Miami and get another quad 2 win to close out the year. And then, of course, all the other games, I believe, are quad 3. But if you win all those games and then maybe win a game or 2 in the ACC tournament, and mind you, that's on a neutral floor. So that any team 1 through 50 in the net would be a quad 1 win if they win those games. So I think there's a path outside of, getting both of those wins. You probably do need at least one, and it's going to be a tall order. But I think there's a path outside of, needing Florida State and Louisville.
If you don't win one of those, now we're talking ACC tournament run. But I'm gonna.
I mean, you need to have a good win. That's
exactly.
like a signature win.
Exactly.
That would be one of those two would be a signature win. It would be hard because at the end of the day, who'd you beat, right? We need to wait to the ACC tournament, which it's hard to exclude. But
yeah. Oh, I know it is. It is, but it's one of those things. It's like you can't ask the damn question without getting to the weeds in it. I'm gonna also sell that. I agree. You win one of those, and the problem is they're back to back and they're on the road. So you got a good shot at winning one of those, though. I think, in my opinion, I mean, this might be the homer in me, but I think Syracuse got a shot to beat anybody. I really do. I mean, I'm college basketball. I mean, we've talked about that show where, it's kind of like, it's like that right now. But I have a lot of confidence in Syracuse. I had confidence with them going into the Duke game. I thought that was going to be probably about what it was if I had to put money down on it. But I was still impressed with the way they played. 88 points to James's point earlier. I mean, it's solid. It was a solid game. They just could not stop Duke. Couldn't stop them.
They battled. They were in there. And, looking at the schedule, too, I think equally as important as winning those games is not losing any of the quadrant 3 games.
Right.
Just going back to the net because I'm, so totally involved in the net.
But you have to be. That's what
Syracuse still does have 3 quadrant 1 wins. They're 3-1 in quadrant 1 games in ACC play. That's with the Duke loss. So they were 3-0 prior to that. And still 2-0 and 6-0 in quadrant 3 and quad 4 games respectively. So I think if you can avoid the pitfalls, I think UNC could be a tricky one just because they have 2 dominant bigs in Baycott, and Garrison Brooks, and then they have Cole Anthony back. So that could potentially look worse should they lose that game than what it actually is. But anyways, there's a path. I'm rambling now about the net, but I just wanted to get that point across.
Well, we talk about the net, and that's one of the only things I go by because, I mean, it's supposed to be set up for you to look at it and be able to tell and not really have to question whether or not your team is in or out. And that game at Syracuse for Duke was a quad 1 game for them. So, I mean, that says something. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm always got my eye on that. By the way, Syracuse dropped from 60 in the net to
66.
No, there's 66. Yeah, 60 to 66, right? So,
Yep.
Anyways, all right. Let's see. This one here. So I put out polls of who you hate more. Okay, the Twitter poll I was able to put down 4 teams because Twitter lets you do that. So, who do you hate more, Orange fans? Georgetown, Duke, UConn, or Pitt? Georgetown came in at second with 36%, and Duke ran away with it pretty much at 48% out of 633 votes, which is our record on votes for a Twitter poll. And then between Georgetown and Duke on Facebook, 107 votes. Duke took it with 70% to 30%. So,
that's just an emotional vote because we were about to play Duke. That's all.
Recency bias. For sure.
Yeah,
Yep,
recency
absolutely.
bias for sure. But that goes into that. That's a good point. That goes into this, which doesn't have anything to do with Georgetown. I was just testing the waters there. But buy, sell, or hold. Duke is Syracuse's biggest ACC rival. I'll go first. My turn to go first. I got my hand in the air, so because I just before anybody cuts me off. So as much as I would love that, and we've talked about it, and a lot of fans have talked about it, and they've played some epic games, man. Especially when they first got into the ACC, and I mean the win last year, the first and only I believe ever team to beat Duke at home when Duke was ranked first, and they were Syracuse being unranked. Huge. But I got to be honest, the Notre Dame games this year have piqued my interest, and you got to have the players be into it too. And those 2 games, they were getting chippy like that with each other. That brings back, some old Big East memories of, Syracuse back in the day. So I got to say, I got to sell on that. I think the 2 Notre Dame games this year kind of, I hope that could build something. I'd love it to be Duke. on a personal level, I'd love it to be Duke. I just don't. Duke has their thing with North Carolina. That's the one big thing, you know. So, James.
Yeah, I'm going to sell there as well. It's a big game for Syracuse. It's a huge event. Obviously, when the Carrier Dome gets 30,000 plus every time they come to town, that says a lot about the game. But as you mentioned with Duke, they're going to have their rivalry with Carolina, and everybody else thinks they're Duke's rival as well. Like NC State thinks they're Duke's rival. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think the Notre Dame game, when you give like the Big East history as well before both teams join in the ACC. There's more history there to go off of. I think they're in that conversation. I think Virginia is as well. I mean, how many? We didn't have the Big East matchups with Virginia, but we've had a lot of good games with Virginia. They've won more, but Syracuse, you could argue, has won the bigger games when you think to the 2016 Elite Eight.
Yep.
And then, maybe Louisville, too. I think one of the local reporters last year was asking Jordan Wara, who's Louisville's rival in the ACC? And he said Syracuse. And there's more history there.
Yeah.
You had Pitino and Boeheim. Pitino was a Boeheim protege. Obviously, he's not there anymore, but you have the history. So I think, I would put all of those teams, and even maybe like a Pittsburgh before Syracuse Duke. I think Pittsburgh kind of views Syracuse as a little bit of a rival as well. So I would put all those teams. It's a great event. Syracuse and Duke, it always seems to deliver. It's a great game, but I don't think it's a rivalry.
Joe.
I guess I'll use my hold, and I just think that it's basically based upon history, the fact that it's time. I don't think, since we joined the ACC, I think there's no doubt in my mind that this game has brought in, the big games, big crowds, record-setting crowds, right? So I can't say right now definitively that they are their biggest rival, because I don't think it's going to be hard to rival UNC Duke no matter what. So I don't think it's ever going to be Duke's rival. But just based off the history of the teams, so many teams from the old Big East that we've played for so long. And again, like you talked about Louisville, Pitino, we've had some good ones with Notre Dame. So based upon history, you can't, it can't be true. But since we've joined the ACC, I don't think there's any doubt that those have produced the best games, the best atmospheres, best drama. So, and with just again with the coaches too, right? I mean, Coach K, Jim Boeheim coaching together with the Olympics and everything, the history they have together, just everything. Since the ACC, I think it is, but it can't be compared to the history that we've had with the Pittsburghs and the Boston colleges and teams like that.
Good points.
So, who do you think in the ACC, Joe? Who do you think it would be right now?
Like I said, and since we've joined, I think it's Duke, but you can't compare it to how many years of history.
Right. Oh, yeah, sure. So because we're still playing Georgetown every year too, which is great. But I gotta be honest,
and we play Pittsburgh every year. We play Pittsburgh every year in football, and we play them twice every single year in basketball. We play Boston College twice every year in basketball because of those reasons.
Well, here's the thing, but the Georgetown rivalry, like I know people hate Georgetown, they still want to keep this rivalry alive, and I think it's great, it's nostalgic, but I don't feel it. It just doesn't feel like that. I know we've been playing them. We played 3 years in a row now, making that happen. So, and I believe they probably will continue to do that and flip flop, between home and away games for each other, but. I don't know. It doesn't have. It's nostalgic, but it doesn't have the same feel. It just doesn't. So, because the game doesn't mean a lot,
Same with UConn. Man. It's the same sort of lack of feel.
Yeah.
Even when those teams when they play at Madison Square Garden, it's a big game, and the crowd comes out for it, and you have the history, but it's more so about the history than it is about present day. And, I think Syracuse is going to play Georgetown as long as Jim's the coach. But when he retires, I don't know if that game's going to continue.
Oh, no, I doubt it will.
No, and that's what I was going to say is that these games are pretty much they're being held on by connections, right? Like, Patrick Ewing, he coached against, once Boeheim's gone, Patrick Ewing goes whatever happens.
He's not going to care. Yeah.
He either gets fired or he gets hired, whatever. Either way, that's not going to really be. Then you talk about another 4 or 5 years down the road, it's not going to be like there's going to be nothing there. Same thing with UConn and all them. Once Jim's gone, like he said, it's those old Big East games are just done.
It has a lot to do with the coaches. You had Thompson's, the father and son duo there, where the son kept the rivalry going, kind of. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Patrick Ewing comes in, it's not the same feel. Calhoun leaves, you don't have that same feel there. So, all right, one more bonus buy, sell, or hold. one more bonus buy, sell, or hold, and then we've got a little piece of audio I want to play and I want to get James' thoughts on. Buy, sell, or hold. The NFL has turned the halftime show into softcore porn. Joe.
I didn't watch.
You didn't?
Nope.
You didn't watch the halftime show or the game?
I never watched the halftime show. I watched the game.
Oh my gosh, James, he holds
This
again.
is gonna sound terrible, but
You didn't watch
I'm
it?
gonna go with the hold. I'm gonna utilize my hold because I haven't used it yet. I didn't watch it either.
You didn't?
I came back from the Syracuse game. I had a flight Sunday afternoon. I got back in at like 5 p.m. I had to get the rankings piece up. I was writing during the Super Bowl, so I didn't really get a chance to watch it too much. I saw a few things on Twitter. I saw like the tongue thing and people making jokes, like joking it up on Twitter, which hey, I mean that's great. But I didn't watch it. I didn't really see what happened.
You did. It was awful. I sat and watched it for everybody listening. That came on with me sitting there with my 13-year-old son and my 11-year-old daughter, and
oh man,
talk about freaking awkward. Talk about my son was like,
it's awkward, for
mortified. Oh my gosh, dude, this was awful. This was terrible. Wake me up when Metallica plays with the symphony or something, because I want to see people playing instruments, not just like twerking. And dude, there was a literal pole dance. There was a literal striptease. It was gross. And I'm sorry, it might be old fashioned or prude to me, but I mean, come on, I got kids watching this stuff. It's stupid. Anyway. All right.
No, I was going to say buy, sell, or hold that commercial with Khal Drogo was the best commercial all night.
Which one was that?
The one where he came in. It's the big muscle guy from he's Aquaman.
Oh, I don't remember.
And he came in and he ripped his muscles.
I don't remember. The best commercial was the Groundhog Day commercial. James, you didn't see it.
No, that was a pretty good
you
one.
Didn't see it.
Yeah.
You didn't see it, James.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
He's too busy writing for the Noons. All right, look. Here's I listened to the post game press conference every game.
Look, I was going to say, how did you not put that Mike Waters in there?
Really, Joe? You dropping
whatever,
S-bombs?
dude.
Oh my gosh. There he is, folks. All right, no, because I saved it. I saved it for James. All right, okay? So here we go. The awkward moment of the presser.
Every game that he's played a lot of minutes, he's either fouled out of or close within 20-some minutes. So he's learning the game, work in progress. It's going to take time.
Coming into this game, Mark, let the team.
Everything I say, Mike, is to try to get him to understand he's got to be better. Because he has a good game against some 6'3" guy. Maybe you're fooled by that, but I'm not. So I don't appreciate it when you run into him and say, well, coach said something bad about you. I didn't say something bad about him. I said the truth. He needs to get better. And he knows that. He knows that.
I didn't tell him you said anything bad. I told him what you said. I asked him for a response.
I know. I know exactly what you did. It's the worst kind of journalism, I think. The worst. My opinion.
Okay. Your opinion.
Okay, so I thought first, well, what did he say? Because I don't know what he said. I don't even know what they're talking about. So obviously something, it's between them kind of, that obviously coach is not very happy about. I asked James about it because I knew he was in the room. He said he got in late, but he did get to experience that. So, James, what the hell? What the hell?
Man, there is no artifice with Jim Boeheim. You never have to wonder where you stand with that guy. He's gonna tell you exactly like it is. In this instance, though, I don't really see what he's so upset about. I think it depends on the context, and I don't know the full context myself, so I don't want to speculate too much on that. But I will say Jim has been very open about how he feels about Quincy and what he needs to do. He hasn't shied away from that in any presser. He said it all in open forum. So if that's the case, if it's something based off that he said in a presser, I mean, this isn't a secret. You're speaking to the media. You know what goes on here. You know what the media's job is. You know what Mike's job is. He's a journalist. He's a reporter. He's going to report on what happens. He's going to do his job. So if it was something that he said in open forum and Mike went, to Quincy and followed up about that, that's his job. He's a journalist. He's reporting. That is his duty, and he's doing his job. On the flip side, if it was something that was said in private and in confidence, then that's a different story, and then I think Jim might have a gripe with that. But I lean towards this was something that was said in a presser, and Mike went into the locker room and followed up with Quincy about it, asked him about what Jim said, and went from there. But, I don't think it's any secret that Jim has been very open about his criticism of Quincy all year, and I think he utilizes those pressers to motivate Quincy, and I'm sure he has those talks with him in practice as well. Quincy knows it. I was actually talking with Quincy after the Duke game as well, and he knows what coach expects of him. He knows, Jim wants him to be better and all those things. But I don't really see what Jim's upset about here, because what you're doing in those pressers, and the people that you're speaking to, what their job is. So I think it's, we're living in interesting times when a head coach calls out a journalist for doing journalism.
Yeah, like you said, I don't know the context either, but just a weird situation, because Quincy can watch the press conferences. I mean, Jim.
It's not a secret.
Right. Jim, like Joe and I have talked many times, I think that's how he motivates his players. I think he puts them under the microscope during the press conference, knowing they're going to either hear about it or watch it, and then he expects them to respond, on the court. And that's what he does. So, I don't know. Weird moment.
That just to me seemed like maybe a miscommunication where someone thought that maybe the words were thinking that they were trying to get a player between a coach, and probably was the wrong forum to discuss that. In my opinion, that's kind of just how that came off. And sometimes that happens.
And coach coming off the loss, and he hates being. When he taps the podium with his fingers, what I'm talking about, James?
Yeah.
When he taps, when you hear that, when he's about to say something, he's not happy. When he taps the podium, that is aggravation building. That's how he releases it, and then he goes off on someone. But that's how you know something's coming. Either that, or he just wants to get the hell out of there.
And then he'll follow up. Okay, we'll see you.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, we'll see you next week. All right, let's play some fake news or not. Real quick, got 2 more questions for you. 2 games in one day. Y'all getting your money's worth today. All $0 of it. So, fake news or not works like this. It is basically buy, sell, or hold without the hold. And also, it comes from the news. It comes from media. So, both of these...
Fake news.
both of these were from Syracuse.com, I think, and one of them was having to do with Dolezaj, and Coach Krzyzewski saying Dolezaj, he's got to be the most improved player in the conference. He thinks he deserves the award for the most improved player in the ACC. He's such a good player. Dolezaj, let's see, scoring went from 4.1 to 10.6 from last year to this year, rebounding from 3.5 to 7 last year to this year, and assists 1.6 to 3 this year. So, and we see, all of the other little things that he does, and it took a minute to get it going this year, but definitely improved. What do you guys think, James? Fake news or not?
Fake news, because Buddy Boeheim should be the most improved player in the conference. Mm-hmm. When you look at Buddy's points from last year, 6.8 to 16.3, shooting a sniper's mark of 39.9% from deep this year. Doing a little bit more. He's getting on the glass and, passing the ball a little bit more as well. But, I think he's made the biggest strides on the team. And you could argue that, Marek, and I won't dismiss that notion, of course. Like, Marek has played great. He's done a lot more. I think he still hasn't quite shot the ball the way that he's capable of. But you could really throw either of those guys into the ACC Most Improved Player of the award. You could throw both of them into that conversation, but
yeah, you could.
I would give the edge to Buddy. I think Buddy's improved a lot. He's going through a little bit of a slump right now, but I think when you look at it on the whole, Buddy's improved more from his freshman to his sophomore year, as Marek has in his sophomore to junior year. And I think Marek had a good freshman year, and he just didn't get the same looks that he got in his sophomore year as his freshman year.
All right, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say fake news. And again, it's more or less just looking at it like, if you're looking through, depends on what color eyes you have, right? So if you're looking through the orange prism, right?
Brown.
If you're looking through the orange prism, then you want to say something like Marek or Buddy, but I don't really know too much about all the teams to say that really. I mean, I'm sure there's players out there on different teams that have probably made. I mean, I don't know. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but if I had to pick one, I'd pick Buddy, like James said, over Marek anyway. But I mean, I'd have to really do a deep dive to actually say one way or another. There's a lot of teams, and we really don't know. I mean, like I said, correct me if you're wrong. I don't know. So that's why I'd have to say hold.
Yeah, okay. Well, I agree, but you don't hold. So you said fake news.
No, yeah.
You can't hold.
Yep,
you can't
fake
hold.
news. Sorry. I just gotta keep using holds.
Yeah, well, you guys bring up some good points. I was going to say not fake news because, well, I mean, what the hell? Because Joe does, you have a good point, which I thought about, Joe, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to research this. I'm going to go off pure emotion. Who cares? So,
that's you.
I'm going to say, yes, it is. I'm going to say not fake news, man. He is just he has gotten so good, I feel like. Just the dribble drive and with the ball and the ball movement and the passing has always been there. If people were to, be able to capitalize on some of his passing, like if we had a center that could handle passes from Marek, man, his court vision is awesome. I think he's got a high basketball IQ. What, Joe?
It's just,
Yeah, well, I mean, so I'm going to say not fake news, but I see your points. I do. But I love Mark.
It was the whole center catching the pass stuff. That's what got me.
Well,
it feels like it's been years.
I used to compare CJ Fair to the Swan. I used to call him a Swan because he's so graceful. There's been moments where Dolezaj has been Fair-esque with some of his penetration and moves at the basket. Very graceful. So I'm going there. I went there.
All right, you went there. Right.
Let's see. I went there.
You gonna believe Coach K over 315 legend? Are you kidding me?
Well, you would think I wouldn't.
Well, come on. I mean, how could you not trust the guy that tells the camera crazies to shut up? I mean,
see?
Oh, good
great
point.
Leader, man of honor, right there.
Good point. So this is
another miscommunication and emotional response.
A half-hearted apology. That's okay. Yeah.
Yep, that too.
I guess this was Brent X, and I forget what the headline was here, but I found it interesting. And this is chopped up, but it's not out of context. He says, if Syracuse is going to use 9 games left in ACC regulation play to make a serious run at March Madness, it will come from simply outscoring people. Syracuse ranks 16th in the country in offensive efficiency, according to KenPom. This is a terrific number. The Orange is taking 44.8% of its field goal attempts from three-point range, which ranks 32nd in the country and 7th among major conference teams. If Syracuse can string together some wins with games at Florida State February 15th and Louisville February 19th looming largest in terms of potential ACC resume boosters, then perhaps it can go back to the plan of fooling teams with the 2-3 zone in a postseason against the opponents not used crossing their path. In the meantime, Syracuse has to put the chips in the middle of the table and bet on offense to make a run, essentially abandoning a three-point shot and getting in the middle and scoring. What do you guys think? Joe?
Did this guy write a whole book? Was that a question or was that a
I know.
Well, I wish it was audio.
Run-on sentence.
I know. I wish it was audio, but it's not. So what do you think, Joe?
I'll give it to James. He sounded like he was ready.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to Syracuse simply outscoring more points than the other team, because if they do that, then they're going to win every game, and then they're going to get in the NCAA tournament. So if they outscore the other team, yeah, they're going to get there. I mean, I buy that to some degree. On a serious note, I think, it's been the story all year with Syracuse, right? The offense has been there. The offense is, the shooting has really been there almost every night. More recently, not as much, but the offense has been there. But the issue has been with the defense, particularly inside. And as we know, the guards up top, not necessarily the most athletic backcourt Syracuse has ever had. So I think the defense can still make strides. I think it can still get better. But this year, the strength is on the offensive end, and that's where Syracuse has to hang their hat on. They're going to get it done with offense this year as opposed to defense. Still, the defense is going to get better, but I think more so on the offensive end is where they're going to have to hang their hat on.
Joe.
Yeah, got to agree. It's a no-brainer. I don't really see. In one part of that article, was he talking about not playing the 2-3 zone and abandoning the 2-3 zone?
Man-to-man.
Yeah, that was a
because we know it's never going to happen.
No. That was something he mentioned in kind of a quirky way, but he wasn't serious about it. Basically, what he was saying is that Syracuse, they're taking a lot of shots from three, but their points are lately coming from the inside. Is how I took it. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, again, I just think that they have to do that and do that more. I talked about it. How many of the last games, other than the fact the one that Marek was in foul trouble with, but. Second half, they kind of go away from it. First half, it seems like they can score down low. They're doing well, and they just don't do it as much as I think they could, especially when the shooters are struggling the way they are. I just think that they'd be amazed at how much that would actually open up the three-point shooting. So just like a run in football, like you run enough, it's going to open up the play-action pass. So
the headline of the piece is Syracuse basketball has to abandon identity to make a NCAA run, assuming, being the shooting from the outside. So I would say it's fake news too. I mean, I don't know if that's such a great idea, but when you talk about what they've done so far this year from behind the arc, and I feel like, it'll come back. And like we talked about earlier, and people are figuring out how to guard these guys, and it's going to be a learning curve, I think, and they're just going to have to get, the ball movement too was better in the beginning of the year. The assists were there more so in the beginning of the year, and some of that stuff has gone away too. So, they'll figure it out, just like they've figured out what they've figured out so far. They've adjusted. They persevered so far this year. I think they adjust, and maybe they get both. Maybe they get the inside and outside game going. Who knows? I'd like to be positive about it. So that's it. Anything else y'all want to add?
Joe.
Good, buddy.
I got nothing. I'm going to eat my eggplant here. It's going to be glorious. Looking forward to the pod going up and listen to it. Always. You know what? I do want to say something. I was listening to the last show you guys did. Sean, you brought up something that, when you started this whole thing, you said something to the effect of you didn't think it would become what it is, and it's meant a lot. You've met so many people, and I kind of want to reiterate that same point too. When I started writing for Noons, I never even thought it would turn into everything that it has, and it's meant so much in so many different ways that I never saw coming. Just being up at Duke, at the Duke game this weekend, I met somebody who knew my mom, and it's like every game I meet somebody new that says, hey, I know this person, I know that person, love what you do, keep doing what you're doing. So it means so much. And then like to do stuff like this with you guys, it's a lot of fun. We like to come on and, have jokes and, ham it up and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it really is cool, man. I mean, I've met so many people. It's made a huge difference in my life. Just meeting, talking with players and coaches and all this. It's been really life changing for me. So I wanted to reiterate Sean's point and just say thank you guys as well for having me on. I know you guys were pumped to come on Noons, but like this is fun for me too. So I want to reiterate that point and just say thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, James, we really appreciate it, and
absolutely,
it's hard to find. It's really hard to find. People who we've never met in person that we've just you click with and you have fun with, and like I know I could sit down with James at the bar and have a grand old time. You know what I'm saying? So,
yes, sir.
Joe, you know what I'm saying. So, and it's it's been like that with James. It's been like that with Tyler, and this Cuse Militia thing is way beyond what I ever dreamed, and having James on here is just great, and Tyler and it's everybody and the fans. I mean, when you get to meet people from fandom, I mean, It's awesome, man. It's awesome. It's a great community, and it doesn't matter where you live. I've gotten to meet a lot of them, and James, you're in New York, Joe's in North Carolina, I'm in Virginia Beach, and it doesn't matter. This technology is brought us together.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. So we appreciate it. Sorry, we're not going to get the fan feedback today, but we will be back on, probably Wednesday-ish for the Wake preview. So thanks to James from Noon's Magician. Thanks to James on guitar. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to my bookie. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Cuse Militia Podcast, the fan's voice with Sean and Joe.